What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the second part of our fuel plant build, where last time we managed to get all the production and all the logistics worked out pretty easily, taking in 600 crude oil and popping out 1600 fuel for a total of 20 gigawatts of power. The only issue we're having is that I left it looking like a 5-year-old started building and got distracted halfway through. So today, let's get you caught up on how we turned this pile of junk into this. So, you guys can see that it is very dark in here. There is no lighting, and if it gets to nighttime, it's going to be very, very dark. So we need to fix that. But we kind of need to put up some walls and roof and all that stuff to attach the lights too. I started building this little thing. It's kind of following the same design as our front hallway. It's not going to be exactly the same, but I do think we need to keep the same design throughout the entire build. So the structural little archway we have underneath all the pathways is probably something we should keep and would look better and more consistent. And remember, everything that you see built here today was built live on Twitch. If you guys want to come stop by, I'll have my Twitch name in the description. It's usually a pretty good time. We're chatting about running ideas off each other, talking about everybody's worlds, and you guys can even have your own design input for when we're making these builds. Okay, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, after about an hour and a half or 2 hours maybe, I've kind of hit a stump on where to take this build, because originally I had an idea in my head about this tunnel and using some lights and stuff like that, and that was cool, and it did work out. I think it turned out pretty well. The more I build, the more I realize like that idea doesn't really apply everywhere else in the factory, so I'm trying to come up with a new idea here, and it's becoming quite hard. But something I do know is that I do like some aspects that we have going on. I actually really like these walls that we're building with just pillars. I think it looks pretty good. I like the little bit of color that we have at the top of the build, and I like that we raised up the roof a little higher. I also like our wide pathways that we've been building, and the raised pathways. There's definitely some stuff we can play around with here, but the one thing that's bugging me is the roof. So I think I need to work on how to make this less boring, because, well, if we go look at it, it's really bland. It has little to no depth, and it doesn't really seem to flow well at all. And I don't really want to call a build finished if I really don't think it's finished or looks good. So we're probably going to redesign the roof completely, and maybe that'll spark some creative juices to flow through this build, because Lord knows we need it. And after a few hours, I think this is what we've been cooking up. Maybe not a few hours. I don't know how long it's been, to be honest. So we have this ribbed look kind of going across the whole building. So this is up the side and across the top here. This is helping with the depth of the build. It's definitely giving it more character and bit more detail just by building slightly off. Earlier in the stream, I made this interesting tower of power towers to get a good vantage point to really feel how the build was looking at a macro scale. And I will say, looking at the previous roof design, this one is going to be much better and might actually lend to some better overall building design. The only downside that I'm noticing of this style that I'm adding on top is that it might be a little hard to blend with our current structures inside. I've been referring to this as kind of a shell around our production facility, which it kind of is. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to blend this into a roof. Now, I do have a thought, and that maybe I'm gonna want to create a false roof. So internally, it'll be dropped down a little bit to be able to mesh with whatever we got going on over here. Also in junction, we are going to get rid of this glass roof here. I think the grip metal will just be a little bit easier and more consistent throughout the build. Okay, and after throwing down some more materials, we kind of have somewhat of a roof and somewhat of the walls forming, but we also have a lot more darkness inside, so we're gonna have to fix that eventually. Turning on the flashlight so we see a little bit. I continued the wall straight down, but I decided I kind of wanted to not have a cube, and so to maybe combat that a little bit, I made this little jut out that we can use as like its own separate room. I don't know what we'll use it for yet, but I'm sure we will use it. We should be able to find use for it, because there's gonna be plenty of different things that will be happening here, whether it's exporting items or a gas station stop for trucks. You know, there's plenty of opportunities here for this to be more than just some generators burning fuel. So I continued the same design here, except it's going the other way, so it's a little bit different. We might change that eventually, but that's what we got right now. I haven't finished the whole thing yet, but we're starting to replace that glass, and I am thinking about just using the grip metal as the false roof inside, and also making sure I have it just over every pathway, so it's a bit more consistent again. That's a big factor here that I'm trying to make sure I keep up the whole way. And the other thing is, I do really think that we will be keeping this little, I think it's like 8 meters or so of foundation texture up here, along with the, you know, banner color and all that. It does add to these long pathways that we have and create a bit more sense of importance straight down the middle, which I do like. Okay, so something that we should probably go over is these walkways that we are making. So this is just going to be like foundation, so anywhere between 1 and I guess 3 foundations wide. And we're just clipping a beam through the edge. So it becomes this like beam that does stop you from moving, but it's not really overbearing on your visual clutter. And with it being a little less not visually intrusive, I guess you'd say, it does kind of allow you to do it the whole way around. So it's not super out there and distracting and blocking your view of whatever you're looking at, but it is an obvious safeguard rail. You can't just walk off the edge, although you can jump over it. You're not going to just walk off. So I think it adds to the functionality of the factory. And so as you can see, we're starting to make sure we have these everywhere, although there are a lot of pathways that we're going to be doing this on. So they're going to take some time to slowly get in. I also tend to switch what I'm building. So I'll build something for 20 minutes and then switch to another thing for 20 minutes and kind of hop around and have fun doing it that way. So you can see, like, I mean, even over here, like I don't have this like all the way done, right? But we're still keeping the same design the whole way with that beam clipped in the bottom. Okay, so I decided to take a little bit of a break from doing our walkways and such to try to get the majority of the shell done, this outside wall and roof and whatnot, because it's kind of all one piece. And you can kind of do it all together. I figured I might as well try to get this done and really start to get the sense of what the building will feel like. So that plus adding glass and whatnot, there's still no lights in here, so it's very dark. So I'm usually building without lumen on just because I can't see. Because even with the flashlight, it's still pretty dark in here. It looks cool, but it's still very dark. So something I wanted to start doing is when I got this, once we got the shell all worked out, we can start throwing down lights and actually seeing what it looks like. And this is something that was a little tough to do on stream, but I think what we're gonna end up doing is we should be able to daisy chain these together, and I want to do them on both sides. So we need to change this, you know, roof and whatnot here, but I want to do a light on each blender. I think it might actually kind of look cool, almost like a spotlight in a way, you know, really emphasizing the blenders in this main room. And we can add color to the light and whatnot, but I want to have it on its own light panel. So I decided that because we're going to, you know, be using the priority power switch anyways that we recently unlocked, I decided I might as well have like a little power area. And so I figured we could just throw a little pit here and kind of do it in this little area that I didn't have a use for yet. And we can make this look better later on, but for now this is okay. And so this is showing the previous grid, right? So this is the other grid, not this, what this power will produce here. But I have a priority power switch that will pull power from basically our whole grid, and then it'll output that power to this priority power switch, which will be able to control the factory here. Now, I don't know if I need both these, but I have them here anyways, as a two-step safety, I guess. But this one will be able to supply these 3 light switches with power separately, and we can supply this priority power switch, which is the switch for, or will be the switch for all the fuel generators themselves. So this one will always want to stay on, but we'll be able to turn off these 3 light panels, and I don't know exactly what they'll go to yet, but I do know that one of them will be this main room light, and this will be for all the blenders. Okay, so over here on this side of the factory, I think for the most part we've gotten all of our paths that we need laid out, and I kind of ended up with this open space here, and I'm not entirely sure what we'll use it for yet, but it's here and available, and we can incorporate it into the build. But it's a large open space. But I think all of our paths are now set, so they might not be done, but they are like, I have all of them ready and planned out. They might change in size a little bit, but I'm not going to add any more new ones. The thing we do need to add, however, is lighting amongst wherever our paths are. So like here, we're definitely going to need a lot of lighting here. On this whole hallway pretty much as well, we'll definitely need lighting. So all those things, besides our corridors that like already have maybe some signs in here, this is enough lighting as we can kind of see, but in here, this is definitely not enough lighting. Well, I have started placing these signs, or these billboard signs, I should say, but we should be able to just control copy all of these to white, and I'm not going to make these ones tinted color at all. Like, I think we can use the color tinted ones for more of like shading an area, like these ones. But this, I really just need some light. And this is a lot better. We can actually see now. So imagine when we have light everywhere, it's going to be a lot better. Hey, remember that thing I was telling you about where I get distracted for like 20 minutes doing a new thing? Yeah, it happened again. See, I created some light and then I was able to see, so I decided to start working on our walkways again. So I started adding these steel walls beneath it, and it does look pretty cool. Like I really like how it looks, because it kind of makes these walkways look beefy and full, and like we were really raised above whatever's happening down here. I'm definitely liking how it's looking, but it's always funny that I subconsciously just totally switched tasks again, as per usual. And just like that, we are back on task, doing a little bit of lighting work. And even when it's dark outside, it's still pretty light in here right now, which is of course thanks to these lights that we're putting in. But I'm really starting to like this aesthetic of like cyan with the orange for the fuel generators and stuff like that. I think once we get a little bit more orange down in here, it's going to look even better. But we got a lot of work still to do, like so much work still to do. So let's keep cracking. Okay, and just like that, we have the other side also all blue, or cyan, or whatever color that is. But as per usual, I got distracted again, and I started working on the walkways over here. And this was just me adding the steel walls again, like so. It's very simple, I've noticed, especially with the pillar, because the pillar juts out, so it gives it a bit more depth. But this is lined up with the foundation, so it's not like hard to do. You don't change snap points or anything. And it's a really cool way of just adding more depth and importance to a piece of your build. I mean, that was super easy. It gives it way more structure now, which is super cool. Man, I love walking in here. This is so fun. Put a smile on my face every time. Oh boy, holy, it's been a little bit since the last clip. I didn't really know how to insert all this new information, but things do now probably look different. We do have this wall here that is now different. So before it was had like a window, and I was trying to show off maybe the refineries and stuff like that, but I've kind of like gone against that, and I've been really liking these metal pillars as walls, so I've kind of just splashed them everywhere, and it kind of works, I think. We still need lights over here, and we still need, a front door and walls and stuff like that. But I think I have gotten a lot of work done on this place and made it a lot more building-like. Something I do want to say is that I have figured out what this area will be, and I kind of want it to be a garage. It's open enough to kind of facilitate like vehicles being parked here, and there'll be you could have driving lanes and whatnot, and this can also connect to any part of the build, right? So we can have roads on the outside that can take you wherever. And I do think that if we add a train station or roads to this facility, they'll definitely be leaving from the south side, just because we need that extra room to be able to get to the highway comfortably and make it look decent, stuff like that. But yeah, I think once we get enough lights in here, this place will look even better. But there still is a lot of logistic work that needs to be done, because we still haven't placed all of our fuel gens. We have 25% of them done, so we need to place another 3 sets of these, and because we're going to move these, we're basically going to replace everything, right? So we still have to place 56 of these. So still a lot to do there, but I am very happy with the progress so far. But I think that's going to be it for today's Satisfactory video. If you guys did enjoy, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know any feedback in the comments. And hopefully we can finish this up next episode. But until then, take care. Peace.
I'm slick with words, tongue sharp, you left in thirds. You pitching verbs, I knock it out, I'm flipping birds. While smoking herbs, I'm blocking out what often hurts. I'm moving herds, it's me, my family, money merge. We crave the day that we can finally start to splurge.